Welcome to another Yoga Therapy Graduates. Where am I now? We're really happy to have Dawn Shawley in the house. I'm Bob Butera, Director of Comprehensive Yoga Therapy. And Dawn is leading yoga therapy, yoga classes, and she's going to tell us about a few things she's expanding into. Her website is embarkyoga.com, so you can find more about her. She's in central Pennsylvania, in the Milton, Lewisburg area. And I do like to say she snaps the best nature photos you've ever seen. So follow her on Facebook or whatever, and you'll see some really meditative pictures, I guess is the way I'd say it. She has two really cool sons, 12 and 15. So they're getting big, and we're happy to have you here, Dawn.
Thanks, Bob. It's good to talk to you again.
So why don't we start briefly? How did you meet up with yoga? How did you get into yoga in the first place?
So I think it was in my late teens when I came across a book called Yoga, The Key to Life by James McCartney. And it was kind of over my head. I had a lot of philosophy in it, and not a lot. It described the yoga poses, some of them, but it didn't really have pictures like everything does today. So there was something there that I knew it was for me. There was some kind of seed there. And so stuck it on a shelf. And then in 2004, so I was 29 then, I decided, I finally want to try a yoga class. And so I signed up for a yoga class at a local community college. And that week, my fiance, now husband, told me that they were going to have yoga at his job, his workplace, for employees and their spouses. So I said, well, that's it. So I signed up and we both started going. And that's how it all started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you became a yoga teacher as your kind of love for it. When did you become a yoga teacher?
In 2007, I became certified. And so the style or the school was integral yoga. And it was the style offered at the workplace. And then that was the school that I trained in initially. And I really liked the integrative.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just yoga poses, it wasn't just like a workout or exercise. There was meditation, there was breathing, but there is a sense of service, leading a peaceful lifestyle. That was, I really enjoyed that aspect.
Nice. That's the kind of classical yoga presentation for everybody. That's what we call it. When they say classical yoga, they mean the kind of total lifestyle and based on some certain type of philosophical teachings that are very simple, very easy to understand and apply to your life. So you taught for all those years, and then around 2018-ish, you fell into yoga therapy. So how did that occur?
So I wanted to deepen my own understanding. So I've been teaching all this time, and I started to notice too that yoga got kind of into exercise. So you can have the right leggings and have all the right props and all that. But I wanted to go deeper, and I wanted to be able to help myself and other people more. So I started to look around, and I don't even think I knew that yoga therapy existed. I think it was maybe 2016 that I started to check around. And then I stumbled across a few different yoga therapy schools, but YogaLife seemed the most accessible. I could go down in person 1 weekend a month and go have the training over the period of 3 years. That's how it was set up then. And
right. I'm going to guess from what you just said, the fact that we're so lifestyle oriented probably harmonized. It was like a harmonizing factor.
Exactly. And so you and I chatted on the phone for me to ask questions, for you to explain what it was about. And I thought it was a really great match for what I already appealed to me and what I held to be true and transformative.
Had you been doing any private yoga teaching at that time?
Some. So more of the hatha base. So more just movement and breathing with private clients. Yeah.
Right. And then I think that's what, if I remember correctly, that's kind of what led you So beautiful. And so then take us further now. So you did your yoga therapy. What were some highlights for you just in training? And then we'll get into some of these cool things you're doing.
So the program as it was set up took 3 years, but I actually took 5 years. So I did the first year,
That's
and then
right.
I took a couple year break. Yeah. And then I came back, and that was during the COVID time, or we went into lockdown.
Right.
And
Right.
the first year was really intense, and
Mhm.
we learn that our own first client is ourselves. And so
Mm.
I learned a lot about myself that year, and I
Mm.
learned a lot about listening, about expectations, about acceptance. And I think
Mm.
those are three really foundational
Mm.
pieces that I walked away with, and that really helped me in so many ways, relationships. So not only with spouse, but with my kids, being able to listen
Mhm.
to them, being able to listen to clients, and maintain my own sense of boundary or space, or just being present with them. So that first year was a big one.
Interesting. So you just said hold my own boundary and listen to somebody else. Sounds very normal, like listening. I mean, every human being who can communicate, whose, five senses are working well, listens. But what would you say is different? Or like, how did you listen before knowing proper boundaries, say, or some boundaries?
I think it was that first year you said, you don't have to get upset if someone else is upset. And so that shifted a lot of, I can be compassionate, I can be there for someone, I can empathize, I can help, but I don't have to do their work for them. So we
Mm,
are meeting in the middle together,
mm,
rather than my overextending or doing something that isn't
yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. It's commonly thought that if you're upset and then I get upset, I can figure out how to get you unupset. But meanwhile, you're right here, and there's no way I can really do that for you, right? So that's really powerful. And then yeah, and that would go into a lot of situations,
So many situations, right?
especially meaningful situations.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, not just like obviously saying hello to somebody, but then having a next level conversation
Hmm.
that would make every conversation wonderful. Yeah,
Right. Right.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
So we're
then
just
that,
two people being together and having, in that safe space, having an honest kind of conversation.
nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I remember, yeah, you took that year off, and then I think your boys were not this age that needed more attention, and then you probably took some processing time.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you completed through it. You obviously made a lot of friends. It worked out online, and
It did.
so
Hmm.
to our surprise, everything worked out great. Um, so so tell us now. I know you still teach a few classes probably, and I think you see clients.
Hmm. Right.
So, what is that part of your practice like?
The client part.
Yeah, and then we'll get into your big new stuff.
So clients come to me for a lot of different reasons. So each person is really individualized. I do my best to meet them. So I take care of myself, and I meet them where they are. So it might be learning to move through or manage chronic pain. It might be work-life balance. It might be learning how to move better or get back into movement and learning how
Hmm.
to adapt.
Hmm.
So there again is still a lot of that listening,
Hmm.
acknowledgement, acceptance, listening, and then making perhaps better choices moving forward
Hmm.
as people learn about themselves.
Do you do yoga practices with them?
Yes. So it might be visualization, relaxation, breathing. There's movement,
Hmm.
grounding or centering techniques. Yeah. So depending on what the person is coming with, we will pull in different techniques that might be helpful. And then they try it at home, which is where the rubber hits the road and in real life, and they see if it works for them. And sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's not what they need, or they'll find a way to change it and modify it.
That's great. That was going to be my next question. It was quite frank. My question was going to be, do they actually do the homework? Do they actually do the practices? Are you finding that people put the effort in?
Some do and some don't. And one thing that I've learned is, well, it's neutral. So if you don't do your homework, that's also information. So if you did do your homework, did it work or not? And then if you didn't, what's going on with that, or what's behind that, or maybe you just need something different.
Yeah, right. What so let's say you worked with somebody with work stress. How did they get to the other side of it, or?
So I've had a few people come with retirement. So at the end of work, as using yoga therapy as a transition from work life stress and balance to the other side of and being retired.
Yeah.
And trying to find that balance, or implementing practices that will be the steady thing as they go from one phase of life to the next. Because usually there's some kind of anxiety. What's it going to be like?
I know everybody waits to retire, and then you hear about all the kind of it's a huge change. And for us, we know any time in your life when there's a big change, there's an equivalent amount of stress, because you have to do all these things to adapt. So you're able to help people adapt. Then they have more time to do their yoga, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then with some of the physical people, like you said, pain, right?
Yeah.
How does yoga therapy help people with pain?
So a lot of times there might be some resistance or fear around moving because it hurts. But a lot of times people find that once they start to move in a way that is still accepting where they are, but they start to explore their boundaries, that the pain shifts or goes away, or they're able to manage it better or know how to relax because they've learned how to breathe, relax the muscles. And so that's how that might apply in that situation.
So have you found the thing that I usually see is if somebody relaxes their muscles, essentially, then when they move, instead of it being like this, it's more like just a simple fluid movement, and then there's less pain. Have you observed that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah. Relaxing.
And then you just have to get their mind to realize that it actually might, if you could start to do this, it will not actually hurt as much. Your body can overcome that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That must be very rewarding.
It is rewarding to see light bulbs go off in people's minds, and in their being. So that is rewarding to be there for people as they explore some of these things.
Yeah. Have many people taken to meditation at all, or
that hasn't been
interesting? No.
More about relaxation, mind quieting techniques, how to regulate anxiety, breathing practices, which could lead to meditation. But
that's you keep reading my mind, because so I asked the meditation question, and I was going to say, but a lot of times it's just the relaxation is the equivalent of meditation if you're new to meditation. It's the slowing down and the getting centered and all that. Because I figured with kind of like with your disposition, I would think you would be very good at inviting people to do that. You know?
Yeah.
They probably could feel comfortable I've seen that with a lot of our graduates. Like you start to kind of live it so well that it's very easy to say, oh, well, how does she do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why is she like that? And then it's like, okay, if I learn some mind quieting techniques,
Mm-hmm.
maybe my anxiety will drop too. Maybe she had anxiety before, or something, like
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? We're all humans.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's really powerful.
And then
Yeah.
I'll have a student who's asked me, well, are you always this calm even when you're preparing Thanksgiving dinner? As we have every
I,
chance to practice.
yeah, you're definitely have that disposition though.
Mhm. Yeah.
Before, probably that's just your disposition, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah. And everybody's got their gifts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so you were telling me about your new thing at the cancer center.
Yeah. So for a long time, I've been connected to a colleague and friend who is now at Hershey Medical Center, and he runs the CARE Center, the Cancer Assistance and Resource Education Center, through the Penn State Cancer Institute there. And we're starting to onboard yoga therapy there, which is humbling and exciting. To be so a lot of the people I work with tend to be going through some kind of transition, or they want to find the stability. And I think for people going through cancer diagnosis, that's even more needed. So if I can offer that, I am I'm honored to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The I think it must be in that field and the care of patients in the cancer with cancer. Uh, I think there's more understanding of how important this is because numerous cancer centers are starting to bring on yoga therapists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll connect you with some of our graduates that are doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yeah.
kind of fell into it. One
Mm-hmm.
person had a relative going through things, and then they met
Mm-hmm.
her, and then suddenly she's working at this one place, and
Yeah.
then another woman. So I'll put you in touch with them. They might
Yeah.
be able to give you some ideas on how to help coordinate things with the system, so to speak, or with the hospital type
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
You
That'd be
know,
great. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And we've seen that with yoga therapy, with like in the addictions sector, a lot of people find that coming to themselves, and then the cancer. So, would you be meeting individuals or would you be leading groups?
So far, we have it set up where we can do a group informational session. So whoever might be interested in learning what yoga is, what yoga therapy is, could come and find out more and meet me and see if there's if they like me. And then, but also to offer then private sessions as a follow up if that
Mhm.
person would choose. So
Nice.
yeah. So it's a referral, but it's really based on if that person is motivated and would like
Mhm.
to try something new, perhaps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So it's exciting for me to be a part of something integrative and bigger. I'm this one little piece, and we'll see where it goes in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. Are there other projects you work on or you think about?
Well, one fun thing is that I do a book club at a local library, a yoga book club. And so that's a lot of fun because yoga classes are usually the physical practice. And then the book club, we read. So it's mental nourishment. And then the yoga therapy is where it all comes together. And so I didn't plan it like that, but it's fun to see that those two streams kind of funneling into the yoga therapy and how that might apply to each person.
Nice.
Life.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then, so you're relatively recent, finishing, I guess, 2 years, just about at the 2 year time frame.
Yeah, almost.
And yeah, but of course, when you do the course, you're seeing people during the course.
Mm-hmm.
So in some cases, you have a lot of experience as you go. But what for you then as a yoga therapist, what do you see your growth edge? Like, what is your growth edge in that from now?
Continuing to refine my knowledge and being able to adapt based on the conversation, what I notice and what I hear from the person in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Neat.
Yeah.
Forever, right?
Forever. Yeah. I'm dedicated. This is it. This is the path.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm so grateful for yoga therapy. It's really just given me so much insight into myself and my life, and it's been I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, well, it is certainly rewarding and wonderful to see how you're sharing it and how many new possibilities there will be. So, certainly keep us abreast of all the great new things.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing today. I think when people watch, they can, see different people, that we have all these different talks now and these interviews, and just get a feeling for what's possible. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for coming on, Dawn.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.